The story begins in the early 50s, when the city of Vijayanagara, known today as Hampi, stood as the beating heart of a mighty empire. The air itself seemed to shimmer with promise. In the crowded streets, the prayers of a million souls mingled with the clink of gold coins, the soft rustle of silk, and, faint but unmistakable, the scent of diamonds. This was a city where even the humblest laborer might see more gold in a day than a European king would in a lifetime. Markets overflowed with rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, sold not by the carat, but by the pound. During grand festivals, it was whispered that the very streets were paved with precious stones. Hampi was more than a city. It was a marvel. At its height, the Vijayanagara Empire stretched from the Arabian Sea to the Bay of Bengal, its influence reaching far beyond its borders. The rulers, especially the legendary Krishnadevaraya, were not only fierce warriors but also patrons of art, architecture, and literature. Under their guidance, Hampi blossomed. Temples soared skyward, their walls alive with carvings of mythical beasts, celestial dancers, and epic battles. Palaces, now mostly lost to time, once glittered with gilded roofs and treasures beyond imagination. Even the city's water system, a network of canals and tanks, was an engineering wonder, sustaining a population larger than many European capitals of the era. Among the many stories whispered through Hampi's ruins, one stands out. It tells of a diamond merchant from Persia, drawn by tales of the city's wealth. After months of travel, he arrived to find not just riches, but a way of life steeped in luxury. He described royal women so adorned with jewels they seemed to glow, and even the horses in the emperor's stables wore diamond-studded bridles. But the most astonishing sight, he claimed, came during the annual Mahanavami festival, when the main street, the royal enclosure, was paved with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds for the emperor's procession. Was it an exaggeration? Perhaps. Yet, the sheer volume of precious stones unearthed in and around Hampi over the centuries makes such tales hard to dismiss. This wealth was not just for show. It fueled a formidable military. The Vijayanagara army, cavalry, infantry, and elephants was a force to be reckoned with, defending the empire's borders against the ambitions of the Deccan sultanates to the north. For over 2 centuries, Hampi stood as a fortress of Hindu culture and power, a bulwark against the rising tide of Islamic influence in the region. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life. But no empire, no matter how dazzling, is immune to the slow poison of pride and division. The prosperity that made Hampi great also sowed the seeds of its downfall. As the years passed, the successors to Krishnadevaraya lacked his vision and strength. The court became a nest of intrigue and betrayal. The 5 Deccan sultanates, long resentful of Hampi's dominance and hungry for its riches, watched and waited. Then came the year 1565. The Battle of Talikota would become a turning point, a name forever linked with tragedy. The sultanates, united by a common enemy, marched against Vijayanagara. The imperial army, once feared across the land, was now led by Aliya Rama Raya, an aging regent whose confidence blinded him to the dangers ahead. He ignored warnings, relying on outdated tactics and the sheer bravery of his men. The battle began with ferocity. The ground ran red with blood as both sides fought desperately. But then, disaster struck. In the chaos, 2 of Rama Raya's trusted generals, secretly bribed by the sultanates, betrayed him, turning their forces against their own. Panic swept through the Vijayanagara ranks. Rama Raya was captured, and in a moment that would haunt the empire forever, he was beheaded by the Sultan of Ahmednagar. His head, displayed on a pike, signaled the end. The army's spirit broke. What followed was not a retreat, but a rout. The victorious Sultanate forces, driven by years of resentment and the promise of unimaginable plunder, descended on Hampi. What happened next was not just conquest, it was annihilation. For 6 months, the city endured a storm of looting, burning, and destruction. Temples were defiled, idols smashed, palaces torn apart. The intricate carvings that once told stories of gods and heroes were blackened by fire or shattered by axes. Even the water system, the lifeblood of the city, was deliberately destroyed. Picture the chaos, the screams of the innocent, flames devouring golden rooftops, the crash of stone as centuries, old buildings collapsed, and the sickening sound of axes on priceless art. The markets, once alive with the sparkle of diamonds, were reduced to ashes and broken pottery. The devastation was total. If the diamond-paved streets ever existed, they were now nothing but mud and rubble. Those who survived fled, leaving behind their homes, their treasures, and their history. Hampi, once a city of life and light, became a ghost tone, a silent witness to the fleeting nature of power and the terrible cost of defeat. And here lies the cruelest twist of all. The very diamonds that made Hampi famous became its undoing. The insatiable hunger for its wealth drew the sultanates to its gates, fueling the battle and the destruction that followed. The glittering stones that had attracted merchants and emperors alike ultimately brought the city's executioners. Today, Hampi stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a hauntingly beautiful reminder of a lost world. Walk among its ruins, beside the boulders and the gentle flow of the Tungabhadra River, and you can almost hear the echoes of its past. The Virupaksha Temple still rises, a symbol of enduring faith. The Queen's Bath, once a place of luxury, now sits open to the sky, its arches whispering of vanished splendor. The elephant stables, once home to the empire's mighty war animals, stand silent and empty. But it is the silence that speaks loudest. The silence of a city that once roared with life. The silence of a market that once glittered with diamonds. The silence of an empire brought to its knees. Hampi is not just a collection of ruins. It is a lesson in the fragility of power, the dangers of greed, and the enduring human capacity for both creation and destruction. As you leave Hampi, you carry with you the memory of its glory, the weight of its tragedy, and the haunting question: how many other empires, built on dreams and diamonds, have vanished into dust, waiting for their stories to be told? If you found this journey through Hampi's rise and fall as captivating as we did, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Join us next time as we uncover more lost worlds and the lessons they still hold for us today.